What's up, Weirdo Swarm? Spencer here with just a quick little reintroduction, if you will. If you listen to part 1 of our Polygondwanaland album discussion episode, we welcome you now into part 2 of our Polygondwanaland discussion, and we pick it up right where we left off. Let's get to the Horology trilogy, beginning with Inner Cell.
Track 5, Inner Cell, is, as you said, Spencer, the beginning of Chapter 2, the Horology trilogy, so that comprises of this and the next 2 tracks. I absolutely love this guitar melody. This is another one that's very exciting when you hear it come up live, on whether you're watching a live stream or at a show, and you hear them go right into this track. Sometimes they'll do it after playing like Crumbling Castle or something else, or sometimes they'll actually play these 3 songs together as the whole suite, as they do with, some chunks of songs that go together from other albums as well. I actually read, I believe it was from KGLW.net, that the band has said that this trilogy of songs is actually the hardest thing for them to play live. In particular, Lucas mentioned that during an AMA at some point, and Cavs had said something about it somewhere as well, that it's very difficult for him. I do not blame them. I mean, just listen to this shit. It's absolutely ridiculous.
This is shorter form prog at its finest, this trilogy here, and I want to give a shout out to Joey because he was basically the lead songwriter on these next 3 tracks. Stu wrote along with him, and also Cavs did on one of the tracks here. We'll get to that in a moment, but this trilogy, as I kind of gathered through my research, was kind of Joey's baby, if you will, for this part of the album. So
that makes sense because he sings a good chunk of it as well on these 3 songs.
Yes,
I mean, it's him and Stu together still, and I think even an appearance from Ambrose at some point, maybe doing some backing vocals. But yeah, Joey's really taken the lead on these 3.
Yeah, so this is the Horology trilogy that we get to here on tracks 5 through 7, and Inner Cell is this really cool, mid-album song with an air of further mystery. So Inner Cell begins with this cool, albeit complex, kind of acoustic guitar melody lick, and it almost hypnotizes the listener just into this world that Inner Cell is going to start creating now. And that's accompanied by the drums, Cavs kind of lightly tapping, and it's really building this air of mystery and kind of uncertainty, I guess, and maybe even a touch of menace here as things are starting to change here as we go into this next phase of the overall story of Polygondwanaland.
Yeah, definitely this mysterious air that riff brings about. It doesn't quite sound positive, it doesn't quite sound negative, but it's like uncertain for sure, I guess is the best way to describe it. It's not uncommon for us to learn a lot about these songs and albums from KGLW.net, and on this song in particular, I definitely took some notes right from them in sort of the history section on this song of where we are in the overall story of the album. So at some point after these settlers have arrived to Polygondwanaland, some of them plot to overthrow and kill the ruler of the land. The speaker talks about meeting in a dark place at night to plot it out, and how they have a vision for a utopia in this land that they'll be able to create once taking out the current ruler. Now that's sort of my own phrasing of how they describe it. I didn't want to take their exact words and rip them straight from the website, but yeah, that's kind of the setting that we're in here.
Yeah, so they're plotting this overthrowing, and you really have to stop and realize that this isn't really from the perspective of a protagonist anymore. Like this, there's definitely undertones, and this played into the last couple of tracks as well to varying degrees, definite undertones of colonialism. And I gather that from just extensive digging into old subreddits where people were discussing this album and these individual songs. These people are not good people. They're imposing their will and their way of life onto these native beings who are perfectly happy and perfectly in harmony with one another where they live. Yeah. And then you got these evil people, evil men, as I stated earlier, and just trying to, just upsetting their way of life and superimposing their ways onto these people. So the dark aura surrounding this song certainly fits. And there are other instrumental I referred to already, I think, the acoustic guitar that comes in along with that light tapping on the drums from Cavs and or Eric. there are also these cool little like synthesizer stabs interspersed between the early lyrics. There's kind of that boom, 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 as they're singing the "Meet with me in the dark, off the street, there we'll start." And I like the staccato kind of delivery of those lines. But there's the synthesizer in between, just almost like grooving along in between those lines. It's cool.
Foul stench of those above, whispering in the cell.
I was going to chat about some more lyrics to go right into, but I didn't touch on the time signature for this one. So the intro apparently is in 6/4, like that intro guitar section, but then most of the rest of the song is in 5/4. So again, as I said earlier, do what you will with that information. Listen back to those and kind of feel that out where the count switches. It's kind of a fun exercise in music theory and like just learning about odd time signatures if it's not something that you're familiar with already, to just kind of learn how they work and learn how to count along to them. It's pretty cool. This album's really good for that.
Yeah, I think that shift or that turnaround, whatever you want to call it, occurs at about 36 to 37 seconds. I just listened back, and there's kind of that stop. The guitar stops, the drums stop, and then the drums come back with that little fill, and then that's where the lyrics start. Yeah, I think that's where that shift occurs.
Okay, so now some lyrics I'll point out. Dance of the dead will descend on his head. I just love that line, and that's their way of saying like, yeah, we're gonna take this guy down. We're gonna take him out. We're gonna kill him. And also infiltrate the inner cell. Now, I'm not sure whether inner cell is meant to mean like a physical place or if it's more of a term for like the inner circle of a ruler and the people that are in charge of this place.
Like an inner sanctum.
Like an inner circle, an inner cell, or if the inner cell is like, yeah, physical like sanctum, a physical place where the leader lives or, rules from or something. Kind of tough to figure out. It's not really blatantly spelled out.
Or it could be both. It could be both for all we know. But I think the bottom line is, they're trying to get into this ruler's inner circle and potentially inner palace, whatever, physically, and upset, as I mentioned, their ways of life and establish theirs as the new norm.
Yeah, exactly. And so speaking of that, they say all these kind of things about like how he's terrible or something, or this guy that's in charge is not doing it the way he should in their eyes. You must not accept his sick version of life itself. So they're calling out the way that the ruler runs things. They're basically saying it's an abomination and must not be allowed to go on. So is this place not as peaceful and harmonious as described in the Dream and Castle in the Air? Or is this just the colonizers that showed up being evil and saying and doing anything in order to take control of this place themselves? Is he really running things badly? Is he an evil, messed up guy? Or are they just like, we'll say anything to get everyone behind us and just take over?
Oh, we're not familiar with scenarios like that at all.
No, that's never happened.
No, of course not. That would be crazy. But
we're in the US of A.
What I like about this song and so many of these songs, honestly, is that passages like these, it's almost like you wonder who's distorting reality. It's like you can see malice on both sides, at least potential malice in this case, potential malice that these people, these pilgrims or whatever, are trying to hint at, and you as the listener, I guess, are not 100% sure if they're telling the truth, and I think that's part of the whole point, honestly.
Yeah.
I think as things unfold, you maybe start to get a better idea of where things do stand in truth, but this shifting of perspective and of outlook and everything, just so well written, and just in the twists and turns that it makes in forcing you, the listener, to think and analyze it. It's almost as if this album was built to be analyzed.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we are.
So this whole dark aura continues and builds throughout this song, and then eventually the song ends on a sustained warbling synthesizer. That keeps that whole synthesizer prominence that really wasn't too present in Gizz to this point in the band's history, but it just establishes all these textures. It's not always stabs. It's not always these sweeping single chords. Here, like I said, it's like a warble that kind of brings the song to a screeching halt before advancing to track 6.
It's more of a texture that just kind of fills things in a nice way, especially during this transition and into the next track.
Exactly.
And that next track that synth flows us right into is track 6, Loyalty.
probably one of the more recognizable musical moments on this album, that extended synthesizer intro to Loyalty. Like, here in the middle of the album, here's where, for some listeners, I think, who don't dissect things the way that we do, Joe, I think this is probably where the casual listener might more easily get lured back in, because with that menacing synth loop, it starts to create this like, whoa, what's going to happen here? And it doesn't all of a sudden explode into an energetic like frenzy or anything, but then layers of synthesizers get added on. There's like this,
Yeah.
and it all just kind of clusters up into this crazy like synth salad, I'm calling it.
Synth salad.
That's what I'm going with before
like
the bass
that.
and the drums eventually join.
Yeah, it's a really unique way for a song to start compared to the rest of the album. Just this long, drawn-out synth-only introduction to the track is really cool, really unique. Now you're going into something different here. I'll get my time signature thing out of the way real quick here at the top. The intro section of the song before the vocals come in, so just all that synth stuff seems to be in 5/8. And then the rest of the song is in 11/8, which is a fun new wacky time signature that we haven't seen yet.
Why not? Why the hell not?
Yeah.
Anything goes time signature-wise on this album, clearly.
Yeah, and it sounds crazy. You're like, how do I even comprehend that? But when you listen to the song, if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, during like the verses especially, you can really, the verses and the chorus, you can feel it. It's satisfying to like kind of count along to. So
Yeah, and once the rhythm section joins in here, especially the bass, it's when the song kind of reaches a new height even after that already impressive synth salad. And I'm gonna cling to that to the rest of time. I'm just gonna trumpet that to the heavens, man.
yeah, that's right.
But when that bass line comes in, I don't know how to describe that little hitch in the middle of it, that boom, ba-doom, doom, boom,
Yeah,
boom, that just repeats. Have you ever tried to play that, just out of curiosity?
No, I don't think I've learned any of these songs on bass outside of Crumbling Castle, but I might have to, because there's a lot of good bass grooves on this whole album.
Yeah, 100%. So on this particular track, we said earlier that it's Stu and Joey tag teaming the bass duties on this album, except for the one track later on that Lukey plays. But here on Loyalty, it's Stu playing that cool bass line. He does a fantastic job. And something about this song, I mentioned some of the external possible influences on this just prog fest on this album. I get very Tooley vibes from this one specifically.
I can see that, especially with the dark nature and just overall atmosphere of it, for sure.
I know the pieces fit.
Yeah.
I think I get a little bit of vibes from Schism there.
Okay, I can see it a little bit.
That's probably why. Okay, just moving on for now, at least beyond the instrumentation, there are some unhinged as fuck lyrics on this song, and I don't know where to start. They're just all over the place here in this song. As I'm clicking on the lyrics tab here on KGLW.net, I've got it all right in front of me, and well, I guess before we get into the unhinged nature, let's talk about how this all fits in the narrative, I guess. I see all there is and has ever been. I am not a man, I am everything. Picture of purity. Deific reign ordained unto me, prehistoric God, theophany. I shall not be moved. Those who try, I will drink their blood. Okay, so it's already starting to get a little bit unhinged there, but let's back up. This narrator just sees themselves as kind of this infallible God type figure. They think very highly of themselves, and this figure eventually goes on to question their underlings, their citizens, whatever, their subjects, questions their loyalty.
Yeah, and from my understanding, this is from the perspective of the same leader that the people in Inner Cell wanted to take out.
Yeah.
This is him becoming aware of this plot to kill him, and people's, loyalty and support of him waning, and he just absolutely loses it and goes on an absolute just like tirade about it, but then also, a little later on takes it to action and does some nasty, horrible shit.
That next paragraph after where I left off here in the lyrics goes, I'll be watching them, I am everywhere, floating on the wind, hiding in the dark, pure omniscience. Traitors will all quake at the thought of me. Hang them on a hook, put them on display, examples must be made.
Yeah, that is just Brutal. Hang them up in the streets by hooks of like, these were the traitors, these were the non-believers.
And I think to further hammer home the tool influence point that I'm making here, at least in my own mind, the way that the following section is sung and played by the band, it just gives me even more Thule vibes. What is with these crimes of treason? I will fight this Inquisition. And it goes on. If I have to, I will not surrender. If I'm backed into a corner, I will draw and quarter all their children just to prove I'm not a coward. It's like this despot is just like going on a rampage.
Yes.
I'll get them.
He just absolutely loses it, just going absolutely insane. This dude or God or whatever he is absolutely losing it, yelling about treason and stuff, suggests that, you know, maybe his followers are dissenting against him, or it's just the travelers that are after him that are making him freak out. The line about drawing and quartering children is absolutely insane. But I can't lie that it does kind of go hard in the song.
It does. Yeah, not going to lie either. No.
I will draw and quarter all their children just to prove I'm not a coward. I will put them all on the Judas cradle just to show them a God in honest.
For those who don't know, drawing and quartering is an old torture method where a person's limbs are all tied with rope, usually to horses, and then the horses are made to all run in different directions at the same time, so that essentially their limbs are just ripped off of their bodies. Like, their arms and legs are broken, and in a lot of cases just torn right off of them, and it's a very violent, bloody, brutal way for someone to die. Him saying that he's willing to do that to anyone who goes against him and the children of those who go against him is just insane. And also he thinks that him doing something so vile like that makes him, quote, not a coward. Like, I don't know. I think it's kind of the opposite. Like, you're
honestly
just going after kids that have nothing to do with anything. Like, you are the coward. You're the freak.
Well, I get it. But also in his own mind, it makes sense, I'm sure, because it's like, you know, I will stop at nothing to get back at them, to punish them.
Yeah.
You know, that my threats are not empty words.
Yeah. And I need to touch on the other lovely torture device that's referenced here, Judas Cradle. That's another medieval torture device that I was not familiar with and had to do a little digging on. It's essentially this pyramid-shaped spike that a person would be either seated on or laid down on, and then they'd have weights tied to them, so it would slowly be pulling them down and just slowly impaling them. So yeah, pretty fucked up to do that to kids, if I would say so, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I had no idea until mere hours before recording this. I didn't get to that particular medieval torture method until researching this song earlier today, just kind of brushing up on facts. I had no idea what a Judas Cradle was. I looked it up expecting some sort of like in-depth explanation over a few sentences, like it was used in etc., years, ages, whatever. Instead, a picture near the top of the results page on the search yielded what you just said, just kind of like a bar stool looking thing with a pyramid shape on top,
spike,
and the person, giant spike, and the person will be lowered and weighted onto that thing. And you can only imagine where that spike is going. You know where that spike is going. And I think I let out...
If you're seated upright on it, it's just... Ooh.
I think I literally, when I first laid eyes on that picture, I let out an audible, "Oh, God!"
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much... Dude, people were creative back then with the most brutal, horrific ways to kill someone. Just insane. But yeah, so basically he's willing to do the most horrific things possible to prove that he is an unstoppable god. And all of this craziness actually kind of backs up the traveler's reasoning for wanting to take him out. Like, I'm kind of on their side now because this dude is wild.
So the waffling continues. If you're a listener, you're just like trying to decide, okay, who's on the right, quote unquote, right side.
Originally, I'm thinking like, the people that showed up here, they're like colonizers. They're trying to take out the leader so they can have the power for themselves, whatever. Like, no, that doesn't sound great. But then this dude is mad with power and is like doing all these violent, horrible things to people who go against him. So I'm kind of like, it's hard to be on his side.
It feels a little more true to life in that way, I think, because even though this is all fictional and fantastical, so many times in life, these squabbles, these fights, these battles, these wars are between, two warring factions where you can't always pick out who's fully in the right or fully in the wrong. There could be a lot of gray area. As far as the soundscape of this, song is concerned, like many others on the album, there's kind of a left-right channel split going if you're listening in headphones. We've talked about, of course, if you listen to both vocalists, as Joey and Stu continue to tag team many of the vocals on this album, not all, but a lot. You typically hear Joey in the left, Stu in the right. On this song, you know, if you're listening to this album with just one headphone in, I feel so bad for you. That was the case for me at work the other day when I was listening, trying to brush up and take mental notes as I went along. But you're missing out on half the instrumentation and half the vocals practically if you do that. So this is such a good album to like enjoy in a quiet environment where you can have both ears in, with your headphones, just taking in the full soundscape environment. And this track here, Loyalty, I think is chief among those where you really have to get the full package. So at the end of this song, which wraps up with a few repetitions of "Where's their loyalty? Where's the loyalty?" the line "No man, no problem" brings this song to a full close, and then you get more of that warbling synthesizer to bring it to an end. Oof. Menace and malfeasance. Dude, this is a badass tune.
Yeah. It certainly is. It's definitely the darkest point in the entire album. This is Polygondwanaland at its most menacing and unstable and chaotic and brutal. Just definitely the peak of that sort of energy that we have on the whole record here.
Let's bring the Horology trilogy to a close now by going to that titular song of the trilogy, track 7, Horology.
Seditious stormed the bastion, alive with revenge, spread intentions, unbuilt no-holes, proto-martyrs, indoctrinated with impendence.
Horology is the final act of this chapter of our story and details the aftermath of what this angry god, king, whatever he is, has done. The song is faster paced and incredibly dense with lyrical content and storytelling, so we're going to be getting into a whole lot of that in just a minute. Let me just continue my thing here that I've been doing, touching on the time signature that's being used. Apparently the intro and chorus are in 7/8 and the verses are like 13/8 or something, but it sounds like every other line has an extra beat or something. I'll be honest, it's really hard to tell what the fuck is going on here, but it's pretty wild and proggy shit, so yeah, let's just go with that. Also has a really cool, intricate main guitar melody that is, it's like simple but intricate at the same time. Like there's not that many different notes, but the pattern in which it's plucked with these like very soft, almost muted notes. It's really cool, really different, and I just like it.
A tag team effort by Joey, Stu, and Cavs, the songwriters on this track, featuring Lukey on synthesizer. We mentioned that one at the top of the show. Yeah. This is the lone song on the album featuring Lucas on that synthesizer. And this one is really cool and really interesting because it does shift the mood slightly from Loyalty, which preceded it. It goes from dark and menacing and a little bit slower paced to very energetic, as you just said, Joe.
Yeah.
Kind of has that, like those plucked notes feel very, plucky, for lack of a better word here, and upbeat. It establishes a much faster groove, and Joey pretty quickly goes into the lyrics. Once upon a time, there was a great hermit dominion, veiled from inside and out, ruled by a lone eremite, bringer of an inferno, conduit to Satan himself, to Chort, Abaddon, and Set, a demented figurehead. Okay, screech to a halt. Already a couple of words and names.
Vocab lessons immediately off the bat.
Yep, and more to come, but first I want to address a couple of these. So, an eremite is just a religious recluse, so that kooky, off-kilter religious hermit that lives in that cavern near the ocean, that would be an eremite.
Okay.
Of sorts. And then the deities of Chort, Abaddon, and Set are all mentioned. A couple of those should be already pretty familiar to Gizz heads. Chort was mentioned a couple of times on Petrodragonic Apocalypse, and is an evil spirit in Slavic folklore, mentioned on Dragon, notably 6 years later after this album. Abaddon, in the middle there, I had never heard of this one before. Abaddon is actually a name that can refer to both a being and a place in Hebrew culture, and also appears in the Bible. Abaddon is used with reference to a bottomless pit, often appearing alongside the place Sheol Sheol, meaning the resting place of dead people, but is also alternatively used as the name for just this evil kind of demonic entity. And then, of course, the third and final of those names mentioned, Set, Slay the Mighty, Set.
Yeah, we're all well familiar with that guy.
Especially in the era of Nathan and the Rave Tour. Yep, we're
know
familiar
that
with Set.
guy.
We love Set, except you must slay the Mighty One. So just kind of catching up on all those names and a little bit of vocab.
Yeah.
Lots more ahead. Let's not get too bogged down just yet as we continue this song discussion.
And all those words and those different sort of references to these evil gods or devils or whatever, all being used to describe the leader, right? The guy that's going on this rampage, doing all this torture and all this stuff because of people going against him. This is like a story, a continuation of describing him and sort of this aftermath of what he's done, like literally referring to him as a conduit to the devil himself.
So in essence, this song is telling the story of a group of hermits led by this one particularly deranged man that the narrator has been describing so eloquently with all these descriptors. One of these hermits eventually escapes and flees, and eventually stumbles upon a castle where he is welcomed by a sage, and something happens that I don't want to get too far ahead of in the storyline here as we go track by track, but basically it's following these hermits and this one who breaks loose and wants to make some discoveries. I want to touch on the fact that this song is so dense with not only vocab words, but just words in general, that there's so much going on. The fast, hurried delivery. Once upon a time, there was a great...
Once upon a time, there was a great hermit in the veil from inside and out, moved by a lone errand.
It almost sounds like a beginning songwriter trying to cram a lot into a song.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a songwriting failure by any stretch of the imagination, but it's very different from the writing in a lot of the other tracks on this album that have been a little more reserved, a little more like parsed out, a little more carefully structured. But this, if you go to the lyrics page on KGLW.net and you scroll, there are so many chunky paragraphs, wedged into this relatively, for the amount of words, short song.
Yeah, I remember having that exact thought of like, there are way too many damn words in this track for a song that's only not even 3 minutes long. So absolutely ridiculous. It's actually the second shortest song, 2 minutes 53 seconds is what I'm seeing here. So too many words for the length of the song, but it makes it stand out. It makes it unique. It's chaotic. It's like, I'm cramming this whole story into this short little thing here. There are two different chorus sections that musically are the chorus and the same, but the lyrics are completely different. The first one tells about how the waves of people who stormed the leader's keep were, quote, indoctrinated with impalement. Like all these people were taken down. And verse 2 starts with, just like that, the plot was crushed, brushed away without a thought. So this plot to take him out was swiftly halted, and they didn't even come close to succeeding. It continues, some were found alive, though, left to roam without their skin, cauterized and blistering, forever marked for all to see. One annotation on Genius actually says that maybe this is the result of someone being struck by lightning, perhaps the Lord of Lightning.
Oh!
But I don't know. I think that's kind of it.
The one who shifts his gaze?
Yeah. But maybe, I don't know. I think that one's a little bit of a stretch. I just think maybe these people were tortured with fire and burned, so it's just another example of, some were impaled, some were lit on fire, and some, just like this one guy that's described, had their eyes gouged out. We are told of this one survivor. You were kind of starting to talk about this one person. I don't know if we maybe have different perspectives on it, or if is it him?
I think it's him. We're looking at looking at an enlarged image here. The lower left-hand corner of the album artwork shows this kind of like crusty, very old and mystical guy with a long beard. Looks like he doesn't have any eyes, so I'm pretty sure that's what that part is about.
That might be our guy. That might be our one survivor here that decides to seek for a way to... Well, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Basically, there's a survivor whose family was either taken or killed, and he was left alive, but had his eyes, like I said, quote, gouged out. But still, he left without the gift of sight to face his true destroyer. So our survivor here is determined to seek revenge, to find some sort of way to gain power and take out this evil leader, by any means necessary, even though he is completely blind.
So that's quite the achievement,
Yeah.
to say the least, to put
Yeah.
it very lightly.
Ambitious.
So the more we're kind of discussing and letting this conversation unfold, the more I'm realizing that all these vocab words I learned aren't really necessary for advancing our analysis here, but good to know a few of these words, namely the word aquiline, not to be confused with acarine.
Is that the long aquiline nose
Long
line?
aquiline nose, and as we were just talking about, that like crusty old man in the cage of the prison cell in that lower left-hand corner of the album artwork, that fits that description. Aquiline, basically of or referring to an eagle as a feature.
Oh.
You look at that hooked nose.
Beak-like.
It's like, yeah, it's exactly like the beak of an eagle.
That's true. Yeah, he does. Look at him. Look at that guy. That's our dude.
That's like the ultimate go birds.
Yeah, go bird.
Get your
Don't
nose
like that
shaped.
guy.
Get your nose shaped like an eagle's beak. Then we really know you're a true birds fan.
True bird.
Anywho, so plenty of tie-ins here to what's going on in the album artwork and how that is trying to, like, in a parallel manner, trying to tell the story and highlight all these different stops and points of the story. But there are just so many lyrics, and I have to salute the band's restraint, I think. When I first listened to this song and I thought about, okay, the lyrics are very hurried, the delivery is relatively flat by Joey and Stu compared to some of the other songs that have a little more verticality in terms of melody. I think that was a good choice ultimately because it distracts less from the storytelling because there's so much they have to say in this song that you know, if the melody of the vocals was going up and down and all around here on this song, it would distract it too much and taken away from the narrative. I think a flatter, more straightforward approach was appropriate here on Horology.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think we ever got to it yet. What is horology,
Oh,
Joe?
good question. Well, I remember looking this up a while back and learning that it was essentially the study of timekeeping or the science of timekeeping. If you have a more direct, flushed out definition, please go ahead and read it for us.
Yeah, I literally just have the science of measuring time or the art of making instruments that indicate time. So like watchmaking
Yeah.
or clockmaking.
I don't see how that connects to the
I
material
don't
of the song
either.
at all.
I'm so glad I'm not alone. What the hell?
Like,
I mean,
really... Yeah, I don't know.
is it implied that this figure becomes a sort of father time or something? I don't know. I'm lost beyond that. Maybe that's another stretch.
I don't know. Hey, listener, if you've got any clue what horology has to do with any of the lyrics or this part of the story here, reach out, shoot us a DM or email us, podagoninfinity@gmail.com, and we'd love to know your thoughts on that if you have any insight for us.
Please, oh please. The final couple of bits of lyrics read as follows. Across the land he walked with death, parading his ossuary. Stopping right there for a moment. That's one of the vocab words I jotted down. An ossuary is a final resting place for skeletal remains, whether a vessel, like a box, or even a broader location, almost like a cemetery or a building or a cave. But basically where skeletal remains are kept. Upon reaching the castle walls, a twist of fate his mind balks. And this next part is in quotations to round it out. Sit down, weary traveler, I am that which you seek. Join me in a meal to hear of my repentance. Lift the veil from your eyes and look beyond the three. Now you know the truth behind. It's tetrachromacy.
Boom, mic drop. Boom. Yeah, so I had some notes that I wanted to add to these lines at the end here. So look beyond the three, as in look past normal human vision and see the fourth color.
Bingo.
To touch on tetrachromacy a little bit here before we get into that song, because it's already referenced at the end of this one. So trichromacy is what you would call the normal vision of humans, which means they have 3 types of cone cells in the retina of their eyes for seeing short, medium, and long wavelengths of light, which roughly correspond to the colors of blue, green, and red. Whereas tetrachromacy is actually a real thing. It's a rare condition where someone has a 4th type of cone cell in the eye, allowing them to see broader wavelengths of color. And that particular wavelength, from what I was able to gather from some pretty brief research, is actually closer to the UV end of the spectrum. So it's a color deeper than blue. There's a lyric in the next song that will correspond directly to that. But yeah, basically like closer to the violet sort of range or like ultraviolet.
Yeah, and that's good insight because it's, obviously good scientific knowledge, and that's so cool. If you're a person, by the way, on the off chance that you're a person listening in who has this condition, write in and describe like any like legitimate interactions you've had with friends or people, like what it's like, because I'm so curious.
Yeah, I think it's pretty rare, but like, yeah, if you or anyone you know at all has this thing, I'm curious to know about it. Apparently, it's really tough to diagnose because you can't just like do a simple test, because the people that have it don't know what color looks like to normal people, and then the people who don't have it cannot possibly fathom, couldn't invent with intellect, perhaps is a good way to say it, what that color looks like. And so it's like a really hard thing to test. So like it's one of those things where there's probably people out there that have it but have no idea.
Yeah, and before even delving into the definition of this, and I know we're pretty much finished talking about this song, but before the thought leaves my mind, this did occur to me not long ago that that Greek root tetra, meaning four, and chromacy, or that root meaning color, four colors. Wait a minute. The fourth color.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're basically the same song name, but in like using different roots.
Slightly different forms. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Damn.
This is the final song of the horology suite, ends with horology. So this is the kind of this end of this chapter here, and moving into the next track will be the start of a new one and the final chapter of the story.
You're pretty deeply into the weeds of prog rock when you start chanting things like, one more trilogy, more trilogy.
We're not talking in songs here. We're talking in trilogies and suites and chapters. Anywho, if you're ready, Spencer, we're going to move on to track number 8. This is Tetrachromacy.
I heard a story could be true about a color on the blue. You couldn't see it with your eyes or invent with intellect.
And very seamlessly to open up Tetrachromacy, a song which begins, I heard a story could be true about a color under blue.
Yeah, that was my one lyric I already referenced that a little bit ago, yeah.
An apt way to open a song about the titular tetrachromacy. However, for all of its mention of, seeing this fourth color and this special condition, this special ability, I'm curious your thoughts on this, Joe. I really think that this is kind of an extended metaphor or an allegory for just a general higher consciousness. A higher level of knowledge, or being able to see things in a metaphorical sense, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Or also just like someone, I don't know, who wanting to have like some sort of godly or divine power or something. But yeah, maybe to put it into like a real world context, that could be applicable, yeah.
Hey, guess what, guys? Ambrose is here.
Wow,
he provides some backing vocals.
Shrimp on the mic.
No, sorry, he's not actually here in the room with us.
Oh.
He's here in the song, though. Yeah, as much as I wish Ambrose, get in touch with us if you'd like to be on the show. Any of you guys, really, if you want to be on, we'd welcome you. He is in this song, though, providing some backing vocals. One of the more top of the list here notes I had, and what makes this song and its arrangement a little more unique above the rest. And so as we open up this third and final suite, which is called the Tetrachromacy Suite.
Appropriately enough.
We get into the story that I started teasing with that opening lyrical line. Talking about this condition, after I said, I heard a story could be true about a color under blue. You couldn't see it with your eyes or invent with intellect. Like the inverse of color blindness, it's shrouded like a natural gas. I gotta see it for myself, settle my own curiousness. So this person that's sort of seeking this God status or this ability to kind of discern as a higher being is just talking about what they're seeking. So to sort of start tying the narrative together a little bit, I want to kind of maybe like take these lyrics chunk by chunk, and we'll kind of go back and forth as we go in this song discussion. To tie things into where Ambrose first appears, as I mentioned at the top of this song discussion, Back and forth swing like the tide. I look to left and right. My three shades are divisible. Lust to see the invisible. That's where Ambrose comes in with that backing vocal. You can kind of hear that higher voice of his in the mix at that point.
Back and forth, swing like the tide. I look to left and to right. My three shades are divisible. Lust to see the invisible.
So talking about how these, how these three shades, seeing these three shades like your average human being, I guess, just makes you feel just that, average. You can see what's in front of you, nothing more, nothing less, and then lust to see the invisible. I like that imagery there. Like this person is yearning for more than anything else to be able to see more, to see further.
That line, my three shades are divisible, is interesting. Obviously, it's referring to the regular three wavelengths that humans can see, the three cones in the eyes. But this guy doesn't have any anymore because his eyes were gouged out, remember?
Oh, yeah, duh.
So he doesn't even have normal vision at all to begin with, let alone now he wants this extra tetrachromacy ability. Another line that we have to point out, the story man was glassy-eyed. Whoa, where have I heard that description of someone before? Is it the same glassy-eyed fella from Crumbling Castle at the very top of the album?
Has to be.
I mean, it has to be, right? But this is another thing that confuses me of like, where does Crumbling Castle actually come in this story? Because now we're talking about, I don't know. And also, didn't he come across a castle where he met this guy?
I thought so.
So is it the same castle? Is it before? Is this before or after what happened in Crumbling Castle?
Hey, good question, actually. Here we are thinking we had most of the answers now, and now at least it took until track 8 for us to feel openly stumped.
And this
right?
is where I think I kind of hinted at this towards the top of our episode, but this is where I kind of get the feeling that Crumbling Castle comes after everything else that happens on the album. Like maybe the glassy-eyed look of someone is from achieving this ability, this tetrachromacy, and maybe our current guy, he's, spoiler, about to achieve it. But maybe he's the one in Crumbling Castle, and it's like later after he's already seen all this, and they're both glassy-eyed because they've both been through this. I don't know.
They've both become part of that inner sanctum.
That inner cell.
That inner cell.
I don't know. There's so many weird ways to speculate about it. It really kind of boggles my mind. But anyway, there's some kind of connection to Crumbling Castle there. So figure that out for yourself, I guess. That's the best I can do.
I want to cleanse our palates just for a minute here and just take a minute to appreciate, from the instrumental side of this song, I think it's so appropriate that this folksy tale, that starts with, I heard a story, could be true, this folky sounding song.
Acoustic guitar
because the
and
acoustic
everything,
guitar, yeah. And then later on the flute, and Ambrose, again, does kind of that call and response with the flute. So yeah, just kind of in the midst of the muck and mire of trying to make out where everything falls in this story, I think it's still healthy to kind of keep the balance of like appreciating still the instrumentation side of things here. Also, holy shit, the drums, 1 minute 5 seconds, Cavs or Eric with that crazy drum fill that seems so laughably out of place, but at the same time necessary and adds a little muscle.
Because there's just like gentle acoustic guitar and bass and stuff happening, and then just going apeshit for a minute.
It's nuts. Yeah, but, dude, I like how this song brings a little bit of both sides of the band in that regard. They still want to go hard a little bit, but, they have that ability to go folky and soft, and they really achieve that well.
I need to touch on some other few lines here that we'll get into a little bit more of a biology lesson from me here. So, as we said, this episode's turning out to be very educational. We got vocabulary lessons, history, and now biology as well on this song. He told me about the power lines, and in subarctic caribou eyes, the metal wires burst to life. Now, these lines are really interesting, and I had no clue before what the hell they were referring to. Apparently, caribou are the only known mammal that can see ultraviolet light, and so as an example of something that would look weird to them, power lines to them would have like a purplish glow around them from the way that the electricity ionizes the air around it.
Whoa.
There would actually be like a purplish UV glow around power lines that caribou can see. So he wants to see what the caribou can see.
Wow. Although tetrachromacy, see what the caribou can see, doesn't have quite the same ring to it. Of course, I'm referring to the line that makes up a chorus or refrain, whatever you want to call it, later in the song. Tetrachromacy, see what I can't see. At first, I couldn't tell if it was can or can't see, but in paying closer attention to the lyrics and the story, it's obviously see what I can't see. You know, I want to see what I currently can't.
Yeah, which is currently nothing because he has no eyes.
Yeah.
There's some lines toward the end of the song, and I was just really quickly, because I use YouTube Music to stream the guys, just quickly clicked on the lyrics tab just to reference a couple things at the end here. You gotta be careful because these streaming platforms do not double check their shit. They don't do their homework. They just put whatever the fuck they think it sounds like as the lyrics. So in this last little chunk before the final repetition of the, tetrachromacy, see what I can't see, right before that, it says, inconspicuous you and me, crown in candle is lost in me. What the fuck? That's not right.
You were trying to get at what that lyric was trying to mean. I'm just like, wait, what? As we're kind of having a brief off mic exchange, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What's the actual line?
The actual line is inconspicuous hue will be crowded camouflage to me.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like what are candles?
And I read those proper lyrics earlier when I was researching, but I didn't write them down. So now I'm just doing a quick look at this, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
Okay, so I'm glad I'm starting from square one here on the KGLW.net lyrics page.
I think they're probably the best source for the lyrics. You know that they're getting
Absolutely.
them right from the record liner notes or anything like that, I'm sure. So
yeah, and the fact that I use Tidal to listen to Gizz and all other music now, for some reason, there are no lyrics available on any of the songs except for Crumbling Castle on this album.
Weird.
I don't know why.
Okay.
But I guess I'm glad I didn't get thrown asunder like those YouTube music lyrics.
Good God. Do not trust the YouTube lyrics.
Okay. So I guess in a sense you were left searching for the correct lyrics, and we're going to be left with searching here on the penultimate track of the album.
Good one.
Thank you.
I really love the beginning of the song. The way it just drones on with the synths and various percussion instruments is really cool and unique, and just leaves this kind of spooky eeriness in the air of like you don't know what's coming. It almost feels like the song is like booting up or loading or something like that. Like you just hear this like dun, 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 and you don't know what's coming. Then Stu's spooky soft vocal delivery comes in, which just kind of adds to the feeling perfectly. Just this soft, whispery kind of delivery. Most of the song is led by a mix of the interesting percussion that's used, the bass groove, and those continuous droning synths. So there's actually really not a lot of heavy guitar use on this song at all. There's a couple little flourishes, like there's these chords that are sort of strummed from like starting with the high string, little
It's like it adds drama. It's like this occasional...
Yeah. To touch on the whole time signature thing for this one real quick, the person in that Reddit post about the time signatures that I've been referencing for these was uncertain about both this track and the next one. Part of it, at least the drums to me sound like 4/4, but with an occasional extra beat or something added in. I'm having a lot of trouble with this one too. There's definitely something tricky going on here, but if you're up for the challenge, give it a close listen and try it out for yourself.
Yeah, we like to hear what you can come up with. This song is criminally overlooked in my book. I don't know how you feel, but first of all, never played live. The only song on Polygondwanaland with that dubious distinction. And it's unfortunate, too, because Stu himself in an interview actually said it's kind of boring, in his words. Yeah, apparently. And I acknowledge, like, sure, this song is a little bit one note, so to speak. Like it kind of stays fairly static, but I think that one note that it is made of is sick. Like,
Yeah.
It just builds this mystical, creepy aura. I kid you not. The number of times that I listened to this whole album at work in these preceding couple of weeks, and the transition from tetrachromacy into this song, that like that initial zoom into the song,
Yeah.
and then that doom doom.
It's awesome.
Yeah, the
It's
light
so
tapping
good.
of percussion. I looked at my forearms and my hairs were just standing on end.
Yeah.
It's so spooky. And
Yeah.
it just draws you into this dark underworld. And you talked about Stu's kind of whispering delivery of the lyrics, searching for the way, try to brighten up my day. And that fits well as such a dark and sullen sounding song. He's really searching for a way to brighten up his day. Searching for the gold inside the rainbow. Looking through rose-colored glasses won't work. It won't change anything. There's some weight to that final line. It won't change anything. And I have something to add to that real quick.
Okay.
I don't know why this occurred to me, but the progression of those notes sung, it won't change anything. It sounds like a mellowed out Linkin Park vocal bit. Think of the Chester delivery. It won't change anything.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't it sound like,
a
you could
line
found early
from
Linkin
Numb
Park
or something. Yeah.
like,
Become so numb.
I can feel you there. Yeah. So
This is emo Gizz.
emo Gizz. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Emo prog
Emo
Gizz.
prog. To add to that line about the rose-colored glasses, normally that phrase, looking through rose-colored glasses or lenses or whatever, is a phrase that means looking back on something fondly and remembering it better than it really was because of nostalgia. But our guy here is saying looking back on the past won't help or change anything that's happened. He needs to only move forward to achieve his goal.
Yeah. So there's really no like past happy experiences for him to hang his hat on
No.
at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good point that you just made. As the lyrics continue, my body's not a temple. It is a vessel. So
I love those lines.
that's a really popular kind of turn of phrase, among the Christian population in the Bible. The body is a temple. It's this way to to worship, etc.
Yeah, take care of yourself and whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your body's a temple. Take care of it. No, in this case, it's just my body is empty. It's a
Yeah.
vessel. It just holds food and water and organs, and that is it.
Yeah, I kind of take it as him saying his physical form is not important to him, and he is open to being just used as like a vessel for some sort of power or godliness to be bestowed upon him by a higher power, which is basically what he wants and what he's after.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I didn't read the lyrics on this one more closely until now, but as that part of the song continues, my body's not a temple, it is a vessel, and a blank slate, an empty hard drive. I like that incorporation of
I like that a
technology.
lot. I love that whole stanza there.
And then the very innocent, doctor, please, I'll do anything. Alter me?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Alter me. That could, of course, be a potential callback to Murder of the Universe, although this alteration sounds like more of a positive transformation rather than him wanting to become a beast. So,
Yeah. That's a good point, yeah. And as that section of the song concludes, let me see, give me more, I want to see the world differently, and then searching, repeated a few times. Overall, between the mystical, mysterious, potentially foreboding sound of this song, some bongos in there, some low burbling synths that add texture more so than any overt melody, and then that sparse acoustic guitar with those single chord strums that we mentioned, adding just that bone-chilling quality. It's just so cool. And then the final minute of the song is mostly instrumental, aside from at about 2 minutes 30 seconds that synth that keeps reappearing strike. And it's a very mellowed out, very strong penultimate track. And I don't know what else specific to say about it now that we've gotten to kind of a lot of the narrative of it already. And then we get the next turn of the story. I've been born again. I see the light. It's in my face. I'm analyzing information. Now I am a god.
Yeah, it's just like, it seems very out of nowhere that he's just like, oh wait, I actually did it. I've achieved it. I've achieved the true sight. And the way it does this is this really trippy back and forth vocals that basically like sing every other syllable back and forth between the left and right channel. It's really impressive that Stu is able to achieve this. I have no idea how he was able to sing every other syllable for one side and then do it again on the other and have it line up that way is just insane. Of course, we're going to hear more of crazy vocals just like this on the final track next, but it kind of comes in right as a transition at the end here, and it's funny. It just feels so sudden. Like all of a sudden, it's just like, oh, wait, there it is. I've done it. I've achieved the sight. I see it. It's in my face. I am a god now, actually.
Yeah,
like
it's funny, too, because I've always felt that the title, Searching, for this song, and the way that it opens and the way that it goes for the next couple minutes, it's like you can imagine someone searching a dark corridor or a dark room, like almost like they've physically misplaced something, like, where is it? And you can picture a magnifying glass and a Sherlock Holmes hat, as this mysterious music is playing. But then it true to that line of thinking, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I found it. I discovered it. The way this, just all of a sudden.
The way the song ends, it should be called Finding instead.
Hey, yeah. God. Oh, man. But yeah, that delivery from Stu, I think that's really an overlooked gem of a moment on this album. Just that it's almost like sparkling or shimmering, like it's this borderline psychedelic moment that you see in a movie or a show where the person's transforming, like the different channels that the sounds are coming from. It's like that
ascending.
It's like that. What do you call the meme where the guy's brain is exploding? Almost looks like a diagram or an X-ray of like the brain exploding.
Oh yeah,
like
I know
different stages.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh god.
Just to wrap up this track and the way that he achieved this, I think the way that he opened himself up as a vessel to God or the gods, whatever deity is in power here, allowed him to receive that, and he was given what he asked for. Possibly because the ruler that was in power was described as a conduit to the devil and whatnot on horology, so our protagonist has been selected as almost like a chosen one to receive this power and seek revenge and achieve his goals.
Excellent analysis, Joe. I like it. For an album where this has just been so challenging and difficult at times, I like to think that we're on a pretty good track for interpreting things and analyzing the storyline.
I think we're doing okay.
I think we are doing okay. Let's try and keep that solid roll going into the final track, The Fourth Color.
Oh boy, insanely hype start to this track with that drum fill, or should I say fills, because, you know, throughout the album we have these kind of left and right, two channels of drums going on, and I was going to say from both Cavs and Eric together here, I would assume it's both of them, although, like I was mentioning with the credits earlier, it's kind of weird where Eric doesn't have any recording credits for the drums, and Cavs was only listed as drums for tracks 1 through 8, but it's gotta be one of them. It's gotta be Cavs. I don't know. So it could be Cavs just recording two different tracks of drums or something. I don't really know. I'd like to give Eric some credit, but I mean, literally in the credits, it says he didn't play drums on it, so I don't know what the hell's going on. Anywho, seems to mostly be a 7/4 time signature, maybe with some other stuff going on at certain points, but I'm just going to stick with mostly 7/4 at least. Maybe some other weird shit if you want to try to figure that out.
That drum fill, whoever plays it, leads into one of the most iconic riffs in all of Gizzdom. Oh, and I've been whistling along to this like subconsciously at work throughout the week, and I wonder how many people are looking at me like, what the hell song is that? And it takes a lot of breath, no lie. And yeah, dude, this album couldn't end any other way, I think. I mean, we've tossed around our debates as to whether or not Crumbling Castle might fit in somewhere else, both in it as a song and also just in the narrative form, like the whole chronology of everything. But when you really boil it down, I think this was the way this album had to end.
Mm-hmm.
Just that beautiful, continuous guitar riff, and then the lyrics that tell the story of, okay, this protagonist, this figure who had his eyes gouged out, holy shit, he can see the light. He could see it all. He could see the fourth color.
Yeah.
He's become a god, I guess, as the story tells. And it's, I guess, the closest thing really to a happy ending that one can get in this world.
Yeah, it seems like it. Like he got what he wanted, and it kind of, you might not expect it to have such a happy ending with what we're kind of used to from a lot of the dark material from these guys and just sort of the ups and downs of this whole story. But yeah, feels pretty good for our boy in here.
As the refrain or chorus, whatever you want to call it, of this song, I believe the hyperbole, which is pronounced hyperbole, which typical Stu fun and games, playing with the rhythm or meter of delivering a word in the vocals. I see the fourth color. It's just bringing it all to a head, all to a triumphant close. And then a really interesting kind of cadence to some of the rest of the lyrics. Rising up out of my body. It's like these twos at a time. I am omnipresent for the many fingers, many minds, and many eyeballs puppet my feet. I walk the streets holy. So just kind of reflecting on these newly gained powers or god status, whatever you want to call it. This is just him just this triumphant figure in the middle of everything.
Taking it all in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing, and with that continued guitar riff that comes back a couple of times, it's almost like it's coloring the landscape, I can imagine. Just like swirls of psychedelic colors, and everything is great the way it should be. Boom.
The way they use the word hyperbole like that is interesting, because a hyperbole is something that is an exaggerated claim or statement, something that's not meant to be taken literally. But in this case, something that should have been hyperbole actually turned out to be true and real, and he really achieved it. He did it. He's like, I can see. He's got it. There's more of the super trippy vocal stuff coming from Stu during the verses, just like I described at the end of Searching, where every other syllable, the words kind of bounce back and forth. Trying to listen to this and read along to the lyrics was really like melting my brain earlier when I was trying to get through it and follow along. It's really impressive, like I said, the way he was able to do that. Live, when they play the song, he just sings the words straight ahead, but the delivery of it sounds really fast because it's not split up the way that we're used to hearing it on the album. So it's like, I am born again, I see the light, it's in my face, my brain is storing information. It's something like that. Like he sings it really fast, just rapid fire, and it sounds really crazy. Another thing, we mentioned this earlier, but it's not uncommon for them to do this and Crumbling Castle back to back.
Yes.
Like Crumbling Castle right into this song, and I love how they just made that work somehow. Like the first song and the last song could flow right into each other so nicely. It's really sick live.
Where have they done that before? Last song flowing into the first song, or vice versa? Sounds a little like Road Train or Road Train.
Well, that's kind of the opposite, where the last song flows into the first.
Technically, yeah. But but either way, it's cool that they can make an album just fit so well together in the way that it is sequenced on the final product of the studio album, but at the same time, like you said, take these two like opposite sections of the album, literally the first and last track, and match them right next to each other and have them melt together perfectly. Holy shit, this band is incredible.
Before we wrap up, just a couple more little moments I really wanted to point out about this song. There's some more lyrics that stood out to me. I see through walls, I see your heat, I can see your terror. So with this ultraviolet vision, he can see electromagnetic rays and heat and stuff through walls. I can see your terror must be directed at the evil Demon King dude from Loyalty, and our protagonist is ready to take his revenge on him with his newfound power. At 3 minutes 23 seconds, things go absolutely wild. Stu does that trippy back and forth vocal thing again, but this time with the instruments in full jam shredding chorus mode, and it's just such a wild storm of proggy goodness. And the way the drums are just going, like, I don't even know, it's not even like a normal beat, it's like a drum fill, but a continuous drum fill that creates the beat. It's just batshit.
It is batshit, and it carries it to what you might think if you're not paying attention to the timestamp. If you're not looking at your phone or your device, it might lead you to think that that's what closes out the album.
Yeah.
Not the case, though. That's a false ending. Mm-hmm. So, 3 minutes, 35 seconds, that final note fades out into this false ending, but things never truly completely drop out because there's this low in the mix, elongated synth note, and then a couple more notes join it. It's almost like these like soaring individual notes on the synth are just like building this, not tension, because it doesn't necessarily feel that way to me. It's almost like more of an anticipation, like be ready, there's more coming, so stay with us. It's kind of forming almost this long arrow that's pointing you to the rest of the song. And then it's almost like the old days of CDs or cassettes where there's that hidden track at the end after a little bit of silence. You really have to crank it up to be able to hear it. And eventually, once the music does come back, it's just the drums at first. Boom, 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 like bongos at first, I think. And then a triumphant drum roll, and then boom, noisy Gizz is back.
Yeah,
everyone.
There's sort of like a quick like second of like guitar noise or feedback or something, and then it just comes right in. You hear the Ambrose screaming into the harmonica. There's like noisy guitars and the feedback, like all the crazy, just like the pure noisy Gizz goodness at the end. And you can even hear like the guys like screaming too. Like there's like human yelling like crazy on it. It's just an absolute explosion, just beautiful ending.
It's like Nonagon never left. It's like Mind Fuzz never left. And truly, that side of the band is still within them. I mean, you see them play live, they still do this shit.
Yeah.
And it's just a reminder that energy and that youthful exuberance is still there, even if they don't show it 24/7 necessarily. And God, I couldn't think of a more perfect way to close out this album than one final loud-ass jam.
Yeah.
Just for an exclamation mark at the end.
Yeah, perfect exclamation point, just punctuating the end of the entire album. Apparently, there's one extra little thing. Apparently, on the vinyl version, on the record, there is a little hello at the end of the album in Hanta Yumi's voice. And I just bought a copy of the record. I honestly haven't listened to it yet since my record player is not set up at the moment at my house. But I was trying to find a clip of it or something somewhere for proof. But according to OnGenius.com, it said vinyl only and hello underneath. So I don't know if this is on all of the copies, if this was just the ones that they put out directly. I don't know. If anyone knows anything about that, can tell me a little bit about that. I would love to hear it. But that definitely connects this album even more so to Murder of the Universe and opens up all kinds of questions about, is the protagonist from this story the same person that ends up becoming Hanta Yumi? Or, I've heard connections made like that before, like this is possibly a prequel to what happens in Murder of the Universe, or maybe Murder of the Universe came first. I don't see how, because at the end of the album, the entire universe is engulfed in vomit, so I don't know how that could come first. But anywho, I would love to hear from anybody listening. If you have any extra thoughts, if you feel like we missed anything at all, and you want to reach out, give your perspective on some different things, tell us where we were blatantly wrong about something, please do hit us up, DM us on any of our social media pages, or just shoot us an email, podagoninfinity@gmail.com. We would really appreciate your feedback.
If there's an album we've covered on the podcast to this point where we might get dragged in the comments, this would be the one.
This one.
It's this one.
It's
for
definitely
sure.
This one.
Okay. Before we go into our top 3 and least favorite, I want to give like a quick summation that I actually found very recently on the subreddit that I actually shared with you, Joe, a few hours ago, I think.
Oh, yeah.
This this Reddit user, Polygondwanaland, who posted this 6 years ago, made this post on a Reddit thread on the KGLW subreddit, basically summing up the Polygondwanaland story by section, by each of the 3 trilogies. So in case you missed anything in all that we just talked about, the story basically goes as follows. The Poly trilogy is about a group of travelers who are leaving home to find the mystic world of Polygondwanaland. During the journey, they dream about what they hope it will be like, but when they get there, they discover it is a barren land full of dinosaurs. The Horology trilogy is about a castle in town ruled by a cruel lord and a hidden cell of resistance fighters who meet in the sewers. Inner Cell is about the resistance. Loyalty is from the perspective of the cruel lord, and Horology is a summary of their battle. The lord wins, the resistance are burned and scarred forever. One of them has his eyes gouged out and left to find his family that was stolen. He almost died while wandering the wilds until he meets a traveler who tells him about tetrachromacy. The Tetrachromacy trilogy is about the wanderer looking for the power to see the 4th color. It will give him power to take revenge on the Lord. He finds it, becomes a godlike figure, and the jam at the end is him wreaking havoc on the castle. There is a hello at the end, revealing that the weary traveler is Hantayumi. Gizverse-wise, it seems to take place far in the past. Okay, so that's what I get for not fully reading through that whole thing. I just kind of sent you the screenshot. Hey, this looks interesting. Let's read that. All right. Well, food for thought, right?
Yeah. So there's another point in the camp of saying that like that is Hantayumi, and certainly that hello at the end of the vinyl version certainly helps draw that conclusion.
I suppose so. Okay, Joe, is it time to get into top 3 least favorite?
Sorry.
I know. I agree.
This one
I agree.
stressed me out. Okay, yeah. Part of me wants to have you go first because it will help me determine my third one.
Okay.
Because I would love to sync up on this, and I think it's possible. Mm-hmm. However, it also feels not fair because I don't know.
Okay.
What do you think? You want me to just...
I think you should go first because I don't want to shape your selection.
Yeah, okay.
If we're going to line up finally 4 for 4, I want it to be organic. It needs to be organic.
Organic, yes. Okay, well, I had 2 obvious ones that to me were immediately like, yeah, these are my 2 favorite songs, Crumbling Castle and 4th Color. Those are my 2 favorite songs on the album. Strong start, strong finish. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Everything else in between was pretty much up in the air. Like any of them could have been my third. They are all pretty much on equal footing and fantastic songs.
I'm so nervous.
I'm between like 3.
I don't know if it doesn't happen here. I don't know if we'll ever get it.
Yeah, right. I know we're almost done with the album. Jesus. Hold on. I'm searching. Okay. Loyalty.
Hey, 3 for 3, baby. Yeah, we did. Okay.
I guessed correctly.
We're 3/4 of the way there. Yeah, I had the same top 3. Crumbling Castle, Loyalty, and the 4th Color. You had no idea how nervous I was as you were trying to rack your brain and figure it out.
I'm sure I cut a lot of me thinking out here, but I was just sitting here for like 5 minutes listening to chunks of a few, like 3 or 4 songs to try to figure out my other third. I was between Loyalty and Inner Cell, actually. I love Inner Cell as well.
Mm-hmm, that is a good one.
The biggest thing for Inner Cell for me is like the really higher pitched pretty vocal section that Joey sings. Like that to me is just really nice and I love it, but Loyalty is kind of it's dark, but it kicks ass.
I chose it for the same reason, and also it just kind of builds and builds. That interesting you mentioned Inner Cell. That was in the mix for me too. That acoustic guitar, that folky feel, almost got me.
Almost got
riff
me to choose it.
Chef's kiss. Okay.
You go ahead. You do the least favorite.
Could this be it? Okay, I'm gonna go first for the least fave. Not easy, never is. Was difficult this time because so many of the parts are created equal between Crumbling Castle and the 4th Color. My least favorite is, unfortunately, Horology. No! Damn it! Oh, no! Just to give my quick reasoning, The dense and creative language delivered in that unassuming, almost whisper vocal is interesting, but it just like flatlines a little too much for me compared to others. So just therefore not quite as musically wowing as others. Still not one I object to hearing ever, though.
Okay.
What did you choose?
That reasoning's fair. For me, I actually went with the title track, Polygondwanaland.
Really?
Yeah, to me, it's... I don't know. To me, it's like the least interesting. Like, it has like the least going on with it. It's kind of simpler. It's kind of a little more repetitive. I guess if you had to pick any of them as being repetitive, that one might be it. Just though we're gonna get there, we don't need a whereabouts. I still love it. The whole album is fucking 10 out of 10. Fantastic record. Definitely one of my favorites in their discography. I probably say that about most of them that we talk about. But in this moment, talking about it, it is. But yeah, for me, that title track just feels the most simple out of all of them, just the least like ear-catching to me. So
sure, okay, fair enough. We go home disappointed.
We got the same
yet
three
again.
favorites. That's
we
good.
got the same three
That's
favorites.
Good.
We'll have to go back and look, see if that's even happened before.
What do we have? Like 3 or 4 more opportunities to be able to line up on these again?
I think we still have 5.
Well, if you include Phantom Island, because technically we haven't done
a
real deep dive on it. We've just kind of done a reaction episode.
That's true.
We'll probably save that for a little while longer, spend more time with that. But aside from that, we've got Willoughby's Beach, 12 Bar,
Murder of the Universe,
Timeland,
and
Laminated Denim. That's right. And we've never Willoughby's obviously was like an EP, not really an album, but we'll definitely do an episode on that too at some point, and maybe even like the Teenage Gizzard stuff, which is like super early kind of demo stuff that they made. So we're gonna cover everything. Maybe we'll even do an episode on some of the demo collections and interesting stuff that's in those.
Yeah,
there's a lot. We had that one listener message that was talking about like, you know, maybe do an episode on some live albums or
for sure
whatever, live albums, demos, all that kind of stuff. We still got a good amount that could fill some time for us, but yeah, as far as the studio albums go, we're really whittling them down.
Getting down to the nitty gritty. We need them to drop that techno album ASAP so we don't fully run out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to try and wrap things up here pretty quickly because this episode that already came out to 2 parts here on this album discussion is starting to go a little bit long, so we're going to kind of funnel things down to the closing point here. We don't yet have anything locked in for what we're going to talk about next time, whether that be an album or something else, so we're going to take some time to chat about that a little bit. You know, may or may not end up being a vote, but we might actually have a couple of ideas for what we might want to do next. We will be sure to post that all over the socials as per usual once we do figure that out. But for now, glad you enjoyed, or at least we hope you enjoyed, our Polygondwanaland album discussion. And once again, get at us if you feel we glossed over anything or if we grossly misinterpreted anything. That'll give us good fodder, at least for reading on the next show.
As always, thank you for listening to Podagon Infinity, and thank you for keeping it weird and doing your part to spread the good word of the Gizz. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you in the next episode. Later, Gators. Woo! It's interesting how he says, like, the line, "My 3 shades are divisible." Hold on, I just put a cough drop in my mouth because my throat is getting really sore, and I don't know if my voice sounds...
I can hear crunching. Welcome to Podagon Infinity ASMR edition.
like anti-ASMR for most people.
Yeah, probably.
Mouth sounds.